Hello everyone. Let's review shlokas 176 and 177 in Lalitha Sahasranamam. Dharā, dharasutā, dhanyā, dharmiṇī, dharmavardhinī, lokātītā, guṇātītā, sarvātītā, śamātmikā, bandhūka, kusuma, prakhyā, bālā, līlāvinodinī, sumaṅgaḻī, sukhakarī, suveśhāḍyā, suvāsinī. Let's take a look at the meanings of the namas in these two shlokas. The first nama here is dharā. Dharā means one who supports, one who bears. So dharā means supporter of the universe. Also, earth supports us all. Earth bears us all. Therefore, dharā also means Mother Earth. Dharasutā, which is split as dharā and sutā. Dharā means mountain. Sutā means daughter. So, dharasutā, the next nama here, means that she is the daughter of the mountain. So, as we all know, Parvati was born as the daughter of Himavan, which is none other than Himalayas mountain. So, she is dharasutā, the daughter of the mountain. Dhanyā. Dhanyā means feeling blessed. So, if you undertook a big activity, whether it's tough or not, something that was important to you, and it concludes successfully or it completes successfully, the feeling that we will get at the end of it, that is the feeling called dhanyā. It is a mixture of being thankful, grateful, satisfied, happy. It's all those combinations. So dhanyā means feeling blessed. Another way to look at dhanyā is dhanāya hita iti dhanyā. So dhanāya hita means dhanam means money or wealth. So one who gives us or favors, hita means favors, one who bestows wealth is called as dhanyā. So Devi bestows wealth. Therefore she is also dhanyā. Dharmiṇī. Dharmiṇī means one who is the embodiment of dharma. Dharmavardhinī. Dharma again is the rules that tell you how to live your life so that you can have a happy and peaceful life. Dharmavardhinī. Vardhanam means to enhance, to augment, to increase. So dharmavardhinī means one who ensures dharma flourishes, one who enhances dharma, one who ensures wherever she is there, it is all just and dharma prevails. That's dharmavardhinī. Actually, in Tiruvayyaru, the goddess there is called as dharmasamvardhinī. In Tamil, she is called as Aram Valartha Nayagi. That's exactly the meaning of dharmavardhinī. One who ensures dharma prevails, justice prevails. Lokātītā. It is split as lokātītā. Lokam means the world. Atītā means surpassing or beyond. So, lokātītā means transcending the worlds. While Devi is the one who created all the worlds, she is beyond the world. That's what lokātītā means. Guṇātītā. Guṇātītā. So, gunam is the characteristics or attributes. Everything in this universe has one of the three gunams, or it's a combination of these three gunas. One is called as tamogunam, and tamogunam is more about inactivity, lethargy, ignorance, etc. Rajogunam. Rajogunam is activity, dynamism, passion, and then satvika gunam, which is a calm, tranquil state or a balance between the tamogunam and the rajogunam. So everything in this universe has a mixture of these three gunas, and this is all Devi's doing. And Atita means beyond or surpassing. And so Devi is beyond all these gunas. That's why she is also called as the Nirguna Brahmam. So she is devoid of any attributes, and that ultimate reality is undescribable, and that's what Devi is, that ultimate reality. So she transcends all these attributes. Sarvātītā. Sarva means all. Atita again is transcending. So she transcends everything, all, and you can think of that all as anything we are aware of, because we are all under the effect of Maya. we tend to look at everything in this universe as form and function. We call that nama rupam. We are unable to look beyond the form and function, and that's because of the maya. And the moment we are able to do that, then it means we have united with that ultimate reality. When we are able to experience that, we can transcend that. But Devi is that ultimate reality, and therefore she transcends all of that. śamātmikā, shama atmika. Shama in Sanskrit means equanimity. So equanimity is something that allows you, no matter what the circumstances are, the ability to stay calm, to be tranquil, regardless of the highs and lows. That's called as shama. Atmika means embodiment of. So she is the embodiment of tranquility. She is the embodiment of equanimity, or simply tranquil, or embodiment of peace is one way to look at this. Bandhūka kusuma prakhyā is the next nama. Bandhūka is a red color flower, and in English it's called as the noon flower. Kusuma means flower. Prakhyā means appearance, looking like. So bandhūka kusuma prakhyā means resembling the noon flower. So we said that Devi is the essence of equanimity. Means no matter what happens, the circumstances, whether it's a good circumstance or bad circumstance, which are all our labels, whether it's a high or a low, ability to remain calm throughout. And Devi embodies that particular state. And imagine, no matter what the circumstances are, if someone is able to remain calm, then what can that person do? They can experience every moment fully, right? So the moment to moment, whatever is happening. So for example, let's assume we are watching a movie. No matter how absorbed we are in that movie, we know that's not happening to us. So there is a level of detachment. So then so many things happen in the movie, and we enjoy every one of that, right? Somebody will be angry, there will be happy, somebody will be sad, all of those, we are able to appreciate all of the things that are happening in the movie, primarily because it's not happening to us, right? So we are able to fully experience that emotion. So no matter what's happening, everything has a flavor and an essence which we are able to experience. When the mind is tranquil, when we are in that state of calm, and we are able to see everything regardless of the circumstances in the same way, then you're able to appreciate everything. And that's what we call as a rasa, or a flavor. So the rasam is the unity of the experiencer and the experience, and that's what we call as rasam. And the fundamental rasa of this universe is nothing other than Sringara. So Sringaram is the union of Shiva and Shakti in that bindu, which is the love, or unity is the essence of this universe. That Sringara Rasam, and that is exactly what everybody is looking for. When the differentiation between I and the world stops, and when everything becomes one, that union is the essence of this universe, and that's what we call as a Sringaram. In dance, they portray Navarasas, and Sringaram is portrayed as love, and you can see there is no boundary between the two. That's what Sringaram means. Love is also that, right? What we love is part of us, and there it is at least an extension of us. So that's what Sringaram portrays, and the red color is the Sringara's color, and the bandhūka kusuma, the noon flower with its bright red, symbolizes Sringaram. The next nama here is bālā. Bālā means a young girl. So here Bālā Tripura Sundari is depicted as a 9-year-old girl, and she's seated on a lotus, and she has a book and the rosary in her hands, and then the other two hands have the abhayam and varadam. So Bālā is considered as the either a young form of Lalitha Tripura Sundari, or as the daughter of Lalitha Tripura Sundari. So Bālā is a very secret goddess. but it is, you have to first get bālā, you have to go through bālā mantra and get Bāla's blessings before anyone can proceed in the Srividya tradition and go all the way up to the Panchadasi mantra and beyond that. So Bālā is someone who's very important, and Bālā is a childlike goddess, right? She is only 9 years old. And you know how children don't have any pretense. What they are, they just show it to us. So Bālā is also goddess like that. So you don't have to have any limitations with Bālā. We can ask whatever we want, but what she does not like is pretense. And if you look at the story of Lalitha, so once the Lalitha army had gone to fight Bandasura and his army. And initially, Bandasura and his army did not take Lalitha's army very seriously. They thought it was a bunch of women. And so they did not really react to it. But afterwards, when they started to see how this army was performing, and they had severe setbacks on their end, the Bandasura's army, then the Bandasura army did not play fair. After sunset, nobody will fight. And in this particular case, Bandasura's army was not going to play by the rules. So Bandasura's brother, along with a big army, they all painted themselves black. And after it was sunset and it was in the middle of the night, they went and attacked the camp of Lalitha. And the camp was really big. And Lalitha's commander-in-chief and prime minister were guarding the entrance of the camp. They were near the entrance of the camp. And Lalitha was in her chariot Chakraraja, and she was in the back of the camp. And Bālā Tripura Sundari is always with Lalitha in her chariot, and all the Nitya deities are also there in the Chakraraja chariot. So then these guys did not attack the entrance of the camp. They knew it was well guarded, so they went to the back and they started attacking. And it just so happened that the arrow hit the Chakraraja and broke the fan that was in Chakraraja. At that time, the Nitya deities, came to the rescue, and then Vahnivasini made it to be a broad daylight. Because the army, the people there, the soldiers were not able to find where the arrows were coming from. It was pitch dark, and these people had also painted them black, so they couldn't see. And Vahnivasini made it look like bright day, and then the army was able to fight. And quickly, when it started becoming a day, the Bandasura army retreated. And Bālā was there watching all of this, and Bālā was really angry. She did not think this was fair. And, whatever be the situation, they should have played fair. So Bālā was really angry with this kind of behavior. So the next morning, she insisted that she was going to go to the battlefield and fight with Bandasura's army. And Dandanatha, Mantrini, Lalitha, none of them were in favor of that, because she's a young girl. She's only 9 years old and she cannot go fight. And what if something happens to her? But Bālā absolutely insisted that she was going to go fight. And Bālā went to the battlefield. And that day, Bandasura's sons came to fight. And he had 30 sons. And they all came to fight. And Bālā, with a single arrow in her bow, she released that arrow, and that arrow became 30, and with that arrow she killed all of Bandasura's sons. So that is the valor of Bālā. While she is a young girl, she is highly powerful, and she is one who is able to give everyone the ability to pursue in their path towards the enlightenment. Līlāvinodinī. Līlā means child's play or a sport. Vinodini means, Vinodam means amusing. So Līlāvinodinī means she is amused by her activities, all the things that she's doing to create the universe, etc. Or she looks at all her activities or this entire creation and destruction, etc. as a sport. So she is enjoying this like a sport. So Līlāvinodinī means she is cherishing this or enjoying this like a sport. Sumaṅgaḻī. The split is sumaṅgaḻī. So Mangalam, as we all know, is auspicious. And there are lots of things that are considered auspicious, right? Kumkumam is auspicious, turmeric is auspicious, so many things are considered auspicious. And Su means good. So sumaṅgaḻī means she is the supreme auspiciousness. So you can think of it like that. So out of everything that is auspicious, she is the highest form of auspiciousness. So she is supremely auspicious. That's one way to look at it. And another way to look at it is, whatever we call as mangalam, auspicious, she enhances its auspiciousness when it is with her. So that is another way to look at it. And in the common thing, we all know sumaṅgaḻī is a woman who's married and whose husband is alive. Sukhakarī is the next nama. Sukhakarī. Sukham, as we all know, is happiness. Kari means one who creates. So sukhakarī means one who bestows happiness, one who creates happiness. And that's why we also call her as Shankari. Sham also means happiness, and she creates happiness. She produces happiness for us. Suveśhāḍyā. The split is suveśhāḍyā. Suvesha means well dressed. Adya means rich. So you can, suveśhāḍyā means someone who's richly dressed. So Devi is always wearing beautiful red garments, and then she has all these ornaments that she is wearing, and she looks really beautiful in all of those. So she is well dressed and richly dressed, is what suveśhāḍyā means. Suvāsinī. Suvāsinī, again in the common way, we call Suvāsinī as a woman who's married and living with her husband. So Suvāsinī. Su is again good. Vasini means one who lives. So sushtu vasati iti suvāsinī. Sushtu means well, or respectable, or celebrated. So someone who's living a celebrated life is a suvāsinī. So suvāsinī generally means a woman who is in a happy marriage with her husband. So that is what suvāsinī means. And generally during Navratri or on very auspicious events, if they're going to take place, people do Suvāsinī Puja. That Suvāsinī Puja is supposed to remove any relationship problems. So a Suvāsinī is a woman who is in a happy married life with her husband. So someone who is who's feeling that marital fulfillment, that is a Suvāsinī. With that, we have looked at the meanings of all the namas in these two shlokas. Let's look at a story related to the nama Suvāsinī. So Suvāsinī is a woman who is in a happy marriage with her husband. So in southern India, it is a common tradition when the marriage is happening, immediately after the marriage, the bride and groom will come out and they will look at the star called Arundhati. So they will all look at Arundhati. So Arundhati is considered to be a Suvāsinī. She is a Pativrata. She is the wife of sage Vasishta. And Arundhati is considered to be a devoted wife of sage Vasishta. At the same time, Arundhati and Vasishta are considered to be the ideal couple who felt that marital fulfillment, who had the loyalty, who had this compatible relationship with each other. And so the bride and groom, looking at that, is supposed to give them a very happy married life. So who's this Arundhati and what star are they looking at? Actually, in the Ursa Major constellation, there are several stars. In our mythology, we look at Ursa Major as a Saptarishi Mandalam. So there are 7 stars. It's also called as Big Dipper or Big Bear, etc. There are many stars, and we think of each of those stars as a rishi. And there is a particular star called Mizar. And this Mizar is a twin star system. So there is another star called Alcor. So Mizar is considered as Vasishta, and Alcor is considered as Arundhati. And generally, whenever there is a twin star system, it seems that mostly one star will be stationary and the other star will be moving. That is generally the pattern of the twin star system. But this Mizar and Alcor are slightly different in that it seems that both of these stars move in sync with each other. So they represent a unique thing. And that's what we are looking at, because Arundhati and Vasishta represent an ideal couple who are in harmony with each other. And if you look at an ideal marriage, 50-50 is one way to look at it. But in general, 50-50 will not always work. And 50-50 sometimes is a scary proposition, because if I've given my side, then the next time I'm expecting from the other person and I'm not compromising. But in a happy marriage, sometimes, you have to be 1 and 0 or 0 and 1, because together, two people together have to think as one. It's a healthy relationship, because if the same person is dominating all the time, then it's not going to lead in a happy life. So depending on the circumstances, each one taking the lead is a happy married life. And these twin star systems being in sync with each other represents that. That's why in our marriages we are looking at it. Let's look a little bit more about who is Arundhati and her life. So once upon a time, Brahma was in Brahmaloka. And Brahma had created his Manasaputras, and he's also created all the Prajapatis. And Brahma was in deep concentration. And suddenly, out of his mind, popped up a form. And this was a form of a beautiful woman. And nobody had seen a woman so beautiful. And just looking at her, everybody is in awe, and they're just staring at her like that. It's like stunned beyond any expression. They're all looking. And she is called as Sandhya. And as they're all looking at Sandhya in awe, so many things are going through their mind, but nobody is able to name what it is. Another form pops out of Brahma's mind. And now this one is a male and is exceedingly handsome. Nobody has seen a handsome man like this. Broad shoulders, such, great form and features, and the smile. And is captivating everybody's attention, and people have just completely lost their mind and just looking at. So at that time, the male form that popped out, bowed down to Brahma and said, "You created me, please tell me what my job is." And then Brahma snaps out of that, a bond or the momentary freeze that he was in. What Brahma wanted really was a way to sustain creation, continue to further this universe. So propagation of, people and many generations to come was foremost in Brahma's mind at that time. So he said, "You will assist with creation. That's your job." So immediately this male form asked, "If you just tell me that I'm supposed to go help with creation, that's not very descriptive. You have to tell me a little bit more. Please tell me, how am I supposed to further this creation?" At that time, Brahma said, "No, that's your job. You have to figure out the way. I'm asking you, your role is to ensure that the creation propagates. This universe continues to exist and furthers." So then, at that time, he turned around and he told everybody, we have to give a name for this particular form. He has a job now, but we have to give him a name. So immediately they decided that they would name him Manmada, because the moment everybody looked at him, they were just completely transfixed, if you will. So they were not able to think beyond anything. Their mind was clouded, and their mind was full of so many emotions, and they couldn't explain. And it was a little bit of a confusing emotion. People had not felt that before when they looked at Manmada. And therefore, they called him Manmada. So now Brahma has the Sandhya and Manmada has been given the job of helping the creation to progress. So Manmada thought, "Oh, now I have a job. I really don't know how to do it, and I have to figure out what." And Manmada, when he popped out itself, he had a bow and arrows with him, 5 arrows with him. So Manmada decided that he would try an experiment how to further creation. So immediately, silently, he released his arrows on Brahma, on Sandhya, and all the other sons of Brahma who were there. And the moment that had happened, suddenly Brahma was filled with lust, and he's looking at Sandhya, And forgetting that Sandhya is his daughter, he's looking at her with so much lust in his eyes. And Sandhya herself was also hit with Manmada's arrow. And now Sandhya is also making all these gestures that are kind of leading on Brahma. And then when she turns around and looks at all the others who are her brothers, they're also filled with lust and they're all looking at Sandhya. And now this is not an appropriate situation. The father and brother looking at the daughter and sister in this particular way. And at that time, Dharma happened to be in the Brahmaloka, and Dharma saw what was happening and he was completely shocked with what was going on. So he didn't know what else to do, so he immediately prayed to Shiva. And as soon as he prayed to Shiva, Shiva showed up there, and Shiva came to Brahma and he told him, Brahma, what you're doing is not right. You should be ashamed of yourself. Sandhya is your daughter. You can't look at her like this. And then as soon as Shiva came and chided Brahma, Brahma snapped out of whatever it was that was holding him, and he was ashamed. Brahma holds all the Vedas, and so the Vedas are the source of Dharma. And so Brahma was really ashamed, and he behaved in this way and Shiva had to come and discipline him. So Brahma was really ashamed, and then immediately all the other people, the brothers are also, they all also snapped out of that feeling. And then after putting the situation back under control, Shiva disappeared. And even Sandhya snapped back to the normalcy. And now each one is going through additional feelings. Now Brahma is terribly ashamed. The brothers are all thinking, they're all Prajapati and Rishis, etc. And they can't believe that they behaved like this. And Sandhya is completely, mortified is the feeling that she's feeling. Because, you can't make all these gestures towards your father and brothers. So everybody is feeling bad. And suddenly Brahma thinks, how come all of us behaved like this? And then he realizes it was Manmada's doing. So immediately he reaches out to Manmada and says, what did you do that we all started behaving like that? And then Manmada said, no, I just released my arrows on all of you. You asked me to further creation. So I wanted to figure out what to do. And if people have lust, then there will be more, more people born. So that way it will further creation. So I wanted to see whether this method will work or not. You didn't tell me exactly how to do this. So I thought I will check it out. And that's why I tried on all of you. And Brahma was so mad. He said, no, how can you do this? Don't you know what position I am in? How can you do this? And then Manmada says, oh, what's wrong with it? I just did an experiment. I had to figure it out, so I did it. You should actually be happy with me that I immediately found out how to make this work. And then Brahma was so upset with the way Manmada responded. And then Brahma said, you know what, for the way you are speaking arrogantly, one day Shiva will show you your place and you will be burnt by Shiva. So then Manmada was a bit worried. He said, oh, you just asked me to do a job and I did it. I never realized you will now curse me like this. And then Brahma said, Shiva and Parvati themselves will show you a way out. And there is the story of Manmada being burnt by Shiva, and from Manmada's ashes coming Bandasura. And that's how Lalitha originated in order to kill Bandasura. So that is a separate story, but we'll follow the story of Sandhya. So now after talking to Manmada and cursing Manmada, Brahma disappeared. All the Prajapati and Rishis, everybody left. And now Sandhya is standing there and she's feeling very, very sick of herself. How could I have behaved like this, and this is not right? So she doesn't want to hold this body anymore. And therefore, she decides that she is going to do away with this body, meaning jump into the fire and do away with this body. But before that, she wants to atone for the sin, for leading on father and brothers. So she decides to run away to a place where there are no men. She doesn't want any men around her. And there is a mountain called Chandrabhaga, and she goes to Chandrabhaga. And there, she's sitting there. She wants to atone for her sins, but she doesn't know what to do. And at that time, Brahma realizes that she wants to do something like this. And therefore, he sends a young Brahmin boy and he says, my daughter is there in Chandrabhaga mountain, but she doesn't know what to do. You please go and tell her how to, atone for her sins. So this young Brahmin goes to the Chandrabhaga mountain, And as soon as Sandhya sees him, she doesn't want to see any men there. That's why she went to Chandrabhaga. But then this man seems to be behaving very properly and he makes her feel safe. And then he says, "Why are you sitting here alone? What is it that you're wanting to do?" And then she tells him all that happened, and she says, "I want to find a way to atone for my sin." And at that time, he says, you should pray towards Shiva, and he's someone who's able to give you that atonement or relief from that sin. And you use the mantra, Om Namah Shankaraya Namaha. So you do that and go ahead and pray. So now Sandhya is sitting there and praying, and time is passing, and now Chatur Yugam has passed. That means several lakhs of years have passed. And now Shiva is very pleased with her prayers, and Shiva shows up in front of her. And at that time he says, "I'm very pleased with your penance. Tell me, what boon do you want?" And so then Sandhya prays to Shiva, and she says, "Shiva, I feel very bad that I was filled with lust, and I want to ask that nobody be subject to lust as soon as they are born. So, that is not something that is fair to them if they don't even know what this emotion is." So immediately Shiva said, "Yes, totally good. I will give you that boon." And he said, everybody will go through stages in their life. It will be infancy, then childhood, then youth, and then they will become adult. So they will feel this feelings of lust only in their youth. In infancy and childhood, they'll be shielded from this feeling of lust. So that was her first boon. And the second boon that she asked for is that no man can look at her with the feeling of lust. Other men other than her husband cannot look at her with the feeling of lust, and she has to be known as a chaste woman, and that's a kind of life that she wants to live. So Shiva granted that as well. And then the third boon that she asked is that she get a husband who treats her as his equal and is able to be very friendly and have a good marriage with a husband. And so Shiva said that will also be granted. And she asked Shiva, "Now what am I supposed to do? I don't want to keep this form anymore, because this is the one that created lust in other people's minds. So I don't want to keep this form." So then Shiva said, there is a sage called Medhatithi, and he is doing a sacrifice, he's doing a yajna, and you go jump in there and you will be born as his daughter. And whomever you think of when you jump into the fire, that person will become your husband. So then she bowed down to Shiva, and then she went and jumped into the fire that was in sage Medhatithi's ashram. And as she was jumping into the fire, for some reason, she remembered this young Brahmin who helped her do this penance. And when she jumped into the fire, it is said that Agni Deva sent her to the Surya, to the sun god, and Surya actually split hers into two, and that's why we call as Prata Sandhya and Saya Sandhya. And then he blessed her, converted her, and returned her back into the sacrificial fire there. And sage Medhatithi saw this beautiful baby from the fire, and as he lifted, it was as if she was washed by the sun or soaked in sun. She was glowing brilliantly, and that therefore he called her Arundhati. Arundhati means washed by sun or soaked with sun. So he called her Arundhati. So Arundhati grew up, and when she reached the appropriate age, she married sage Vasishta, who was none other than that young Brahmin who had taught Sandhya how to do the penance. So sage Vasishta and Arundhati are an ideal couple, and they are very loyal to each other. And while we all know sage Vasishta is the Kulaguru of Rama, and therefore as Guru Patni, Arundhati was also respected by Rama, and she is someone who is an extremely chaste woman. Arundhati is not just revered because she is a chaste woman. That is definitely a part of it, and it was a boon she asked from Shiva. But Arundhati is equivalent to the Saptarishis in her own right. Actually, when Arundhati was in sage Medhatithi's ashrama, and she actually went and learnt all the dharma shastras from none other than Saraswati, Savitri, and Gayatri. So they were her teachers. So she learnt everything. And it is said that sage Medaditi's ashrama was called as Tapasaranya, and it is said that the entire Tapasaranya was sanctified because of Arundhati's presence. So in that, she is a dharmiṇī and she is a dharmavardhinī. So she knows all the shastras. So sometimes if there are doubts in dharma, it is said that Indra, Surya, etc. will talk to Arundhati to get their doubts clarified. So she is good on her own and does not just get her merit from being the wife of a great sage. Actually, there is one story related to how good Arundhati is in Dharma Shastras. So once sage Vasishta had to perform a shraddha. So it is the ceremony conducted for ancestors. And at that time, usually they will feed a Brahmin. And sage Vasishta was looking for everywhere and he couldn't find anybody. And the only person he found was sage Vishwamitra. As you all know, sage Vishwamitra and sage Vasishta have a feud going on for a long time. And so when sage Vasishta found sage Vishwamitra, he was like, I don't know whether he's going to accept to come to my house. But regardless, he had to feed a Brahmin. So he went to sage Vishwamitra and asked, I have to do the shraddha. Will you come and eat in my house? And sage Vishwamitra saw this as a chance. Now he had the upper hand now in this, right? He was doing a favor by going to sage Vasishta's house. So he said, of course, I'll come to your house, but on one condition. So sage Vasishta said, okay, what is it? Please let me know. And he said, I'll come to your house, but in the feast, you have to serve me 1008 items. If you feed me 1008 side dishes, then I will come and eat in your house. Sage Vasishta was taken aback. 1008 side dishes is a lot. So he didn't know whether Arundhati can manage all of that. So he went back home and he told Arundhati, Sage Vishwamitra is willing to come, but he's saying that we have to serve 1008 side dishes. So I don't know what to do. And Arundhati said, no, don't worry. I will take care of it. Having sage Vishwamitra come and eat in the shraddha is a big blessing for us. So please don't say no to him. Go and invite him. I will take care of this whole thing. So sage Vasishta did exactly as Arundhati said. He went and invited. So sage Vishwamitra came and now it was time to serve the feast, and a big plantain leaf was put. And it was like a really big plantain leaf, and sage Vishwamitra was feeling good. And then Arundhati started to serve, and she served 11 items, 11 side dishes, and then she started to serve the rice. And at that time, sage Vishwamitra stopped and said, wait, I told your husband that I need 1008 items. You only served 11 items, and how can you have served rice? And at that time, Arundhati told him, Karavalli shatam chaiva vajravalli shatatrayam panasam shatshatam chaiva shraddakale vidiyate. What she meant is, in the dishes that she had served, 3 of those dishes, one was bitter gourd, another was called as vajravalli, which in Tamil is called as pirandai, or in Telugu is called as nalleru, and panasam is jackfruit. So she had served 3 side dishes with that. And what she said is, in our Dharma Shastras, the serving of bitter gourd is considered as equal to 100 dishes. And the serving of Vajravalli, which is the pirandai, is equivalent to 300 dishes. And if you serve jackfruit during Shraddha, it is considered equivalent to 600 dishes. So if you add that, 600 plus 300 plus 100 is 1000. And so she said, I have given you 1000 dishes there, and then here is the other 8 that you asked for. So I have actually served 1008 as per your requirement. And that was absolutely right. And sage Vishwamitra had nothing to say to that. So he ate and then he left. So that's how well versed Arundhati is in Dharma Shastras. Also, it is not just her knowledge and her pativrata. Arundhati is also a great sage in her own right. In fact, there was a time when in Himalayas there was no rain for 12 consecutive years. and everything was withering, and there were no vegetables, nothing like that. And it said that Arundhati did a penance and towards Lord Shiva, and Shiva was very pleased, and then Shiva made sure that there was rain. So Arundhati also has the tapo valimai. That is also something that she has. So Arundhati is a suvāsinī who is in a great relationship. She felt this marital fulfillment. They had a great give and take relationship. And you can see here, Sage Vasishta is revered. He's a great sage, and so is Arundhati. And between the two of them, they were in perfect sync all the time and lived a happy married life. That's all for today.